So let's talk about mindset now and how the power of positivity can affect your mindset. And as an example, let's look at Ironman triathletes. Now, what's entailed in an Ironman triathlon? That's a 2.4-mile swim followed by a 112-mile bike ride followed by a 26.2-mile run. Now, there's a Dr. James Gills who has done 6 double Ironman triathlons. Now, what does that mean? That's doing all 3 events on one day, and 24 hours later, doing all 3 events again. And he's done that 6 times. And the last time he did it, he was 59 years old. And he was asked, how do you go about that? He said, well, I've learned to talk to myself instead of listen to myself. If I listen to myself, I hear all the reasons why I should give up. I hear that I'm too tired, too old, too weak to make it. But if I talk to myself, I can give myself the encouragement and words I need to hear to keep running and finish the race. When you look at 3 events and you look at, oh, here's what I have to do to complete 3 events, if you can change your perspective around and talk to yourself encouragingly and go, well, I've completed the swim. Now I need to get the next mile of the bike ride. Now I need to get to the next mile. Now I need to get the next mile of the run and the next mile. So it's breaking it down and realizing that you are accomplishing things. Whereas if you're looking at only the end result, you're thinking of, oh, I've got 3 events to go. I've got 112 miles to go. I've got 26.2 miles to go. It's a perspective. So how do we change that or apply that to what we're talking about today? Let's do a little exercise here where Chip is going to take you through and you're going to list the things that you have to do on a daily basis. And then we'll talk about perspective and mindset. Chip?
All right. Thank you, Dennis. So for me, it's all about, controlling that mindset, having that positive conversation with yourself. I'd like to share, kind of a personal thing that I do, every day in the morning. Before I get out of bed, the first thing I do is, say my prayers. And then the next thing I do, I say to myself, today will be a great day. Right. And so for me, before I've even moved, I've already beat anything that I'm going to come across that day because I've told myself, hey, today's going to be a great day. And so my mindset is already set in a positive way to get through any challenge that I may come across. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an activity, and the activity is on page 7 of your guidebook, and it's the have to versus get to activity. So what I'd like for you guys to do is just think about the have tos that you have in your life on a daily basis, your have to do list, if you will. And so if you would just kind of drop some of those in the chat box, and I'll give you a minute or so to do that. And then we'll go back through and we'll look at those, and then we'll kind of reframe those have tos that you have there. So if you would just mention in the chat box, what are a couple have to things on your have to do list that you have in your life. So I'll give you a minute or so to do that. And I'll go through and I'll read some of those as you drop them in there. Yes, feed the dogs. Yes, go to work. Respond to emails. Yeah, that'll load up on you if you don't do that. Naps, that's big. Work on classes, exercise, plan schedule. That's important. Thinking about the future, cleaning the house, pray, meditation. Yes. All right. So what I want to do is just kind of reframe, and I'll go back through and look again. So, if I say, okay, well, I have to feed the dogs, I have to go to work, I have to respond to emails. I don't know if you noticed the tone of which I'm saying that. I wouldn't say it like have to eat, because eat is big for me. So eat is important. Some of those things I have to work on instead of saying have to, what we want to do on your sheet, mark out have to and put get to. Because what we need to understand is that really we are fortunate to be able to do those things that we mentioned in the list. There are some people in our lives that, are not capable of moving around or doing the things that we listed on the list. So we have to know that things could be better, but it could be way worse as well. So we need to know that we are fortunate and we get to do those things and look at it as a blessing and really just understand how fortunate we are. So that's the activity. And thank you guys for sharing in the chat box there. Have to, and just know that we get to do those things. I hope that helps you.
Think about all the cool things that you get to do on a daily basis. You know,
Yeah.
it's good. You may have work, may have some things that that you don't necessarily want to do, but if you frame it as, I get to feed the dogs, I get to exercise, I get to think about the future. Thank you for putting in, Paul, how I can make a difference. I get to make a difference on a daily basis by how I frame myself, how I frame things that I do. So I'll just leave that at that for now. We'll go on to our next activity. Let's build better communications and connections to gain better commitment and caring together. Check out beabean.net for workshops, speaking engagements, and consultations. Be a Bean, transform your team.